Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Subayi Kamuanga. I'm the country officer for DRC, the Republic Democratic of Congo for Proparco, which is a private subsidiary of the Groupe Agence Française de Développement, the French DFI. So as many DFI in the world, such as CDC for the UK, DG for Germany, or the IFC for the US, Proparco has for a mission to finance private company and private projects in developing markets. And it has been a true honor for me to be heading Proparco's division in DRC, my home country, and to have the opportunity to try to tackle some of the long-term developmental issues that my country has faced. After a few months now in Kinshasa, I think it's quite relevant for me to start talking about the topic of the impact of DFIs, development finance institutions, in complex markets and fragile countries such as DRC. So how can DFI have sustainable and effective developmental strategies in such countries? From my perspective, there are three aspects to the issue. First, we need to make sure that DFIs have very ambitious mandates in those countries, probably even more developed than in some other countries that are a bit more developed. Second, we need to make sure that DFI also has the opportunity to work with governmental and local authorities, not with a view to interfere, but with a view to help us put in place ecosystem and policies that are conducive to private sector and to the development of the economies. And third, we need to make sure that DFIs and generally speaking investors and the entire ecosystem have now the ability and the habit to successfully collaborate and work together. But now let's go back to the first point. We need to make sure that DFIs have ambitious mandate. When it comes to Proparco in DRC, we have for mandate to invest not only in private companies in sectors that we have identified as having a strong developmental impact. So those sectors, which are priority sectors for us, include agribusiness, healthcare, education, transport, logistics, telecommunication, and financial services. These are the sectors, and obviously manufacturing, but these are the sectors that we truly believe will have a long-term developmental impact on the development of the economies and will unlock values for those countries in the very long term. But this is not enough. Just financing private companies will not allow us to solve long-term issues, because in fragile countries and frontier markets like DRC, there is a sheer lack of sustainable, effective infrastructure, which is why a DFI like Proparco has the ability to also finance infrastructure. And by infrastructure, I have three types of infrastructure in mind. First of all, we have the opportunity to finance transport infrastructure, which includes the financing of road, port, airport, and railway projects. On top of that, we also have the opportunity to support waste management and water sanitation projects that are also key to the well-being of the population and, of course, to the health of the population, and then helping and making sure that the population is productive and healthy and is capable of developing its own economy. And finally, when it comes to the infrastructure space, we have the ability to finance, so I've spoken about transport, water, sanitation, and of course, energy. In a country like DRC, we know that the electrification rate is very low, 9 to 15% of the population. So financing renewable energy project has really a core impact. So we can finance, for instance, hydropower plants, we can finance solar projects, whether it's solar power plant or companies specializing in providing solar solutions, like typically solar kits that are sold to, retail individuals or to SMEs and companies. So all those infrastructures are key to actually unlock value in the economy and to enable private companies to actually thrive in the countries they operate in. So this is the first aspect that I wanted to talk about, like the need for DFI to have very ambitious mandates in fragile countries. So not only to focus on financing private companies, but also to finance overall infrastructure, physical infrastructure that will enable companies to thrive. Following on this point, I think it's also important for us to make sure that we can enable an environment that will allow for technology to be fully accessible and available for all. In this context and in this regard, we have the ability with Proparco to finance all type of digital projects, which include fiber optics projects, which can also include, startups and any sort of tech solutions that is relevant to solve some of the issues we've seen, especially, for instance, in the fintech industry, in the health tech sector, or in the ed tech sectors. Why am I picking those three sectors? If you look at the fintech sector, the use of technological solutions to enable the financial inclusion of populations that has been traditional and banked, you can see that it can have a massive impact. And technology has this ability to digitize entire processes, to automate some processes, and to make sure that we can scale a successful solution to many people at the same time. Now moving on to the need for DFIs, that's the second point that I wanted to mention, to successfully collaborate and cooperate with public authorities, the government, local authorities, mayors, to actually put in place an entire regulatory framework and policies that will be conducive for private investment, but also for the private sectors to thrive. And when it comes to a country like DRC, where in some sectors a lot of things still needs to be done, a lot of sectors are not necessarily fully regulated, it's a very interesting market in terms of what we can bring to the table to public authorities in terms of what would be the best way to go forward. And obviously, as a DFI, we also have the ability to be humble enough to obviously listen to the local authorities who want to do things a certain way. And if you put yourself in a successful sort of conversation where you all learn from each other, you can come up with solutions that are effective for both the public sectors, but also for the private sector. And in countries like DRC, I think the energy sector is one of the sectors where the public and private sectors work quite well. Same in the digital space. We are working on few work streams with few public entities, hoping that in the next few months we'll have a lot of positive outcomes to share with the market. And last but not least, I want to highlight that it's key for DFIs. So that's my point number 3. It's really key for DFIs to work together. And I think at Proparco, it's really part of our DNA to create successful partnership with strategic partners within the DFI community, but also within the entire investment ecosystem. And by that, what do I mean? This year, we have the opportunity with the IFC to co-host the group of active DFI in DRC in the private sector who are trying to invest in the country and to have a long-term positive effect on the economy. From this perspective, this group of now 19 members, when we started in March at the launch, there were 13 or 14 of us, so it's a good sign that the number of members has increased. And so this group of DFIs meet on a regular basis. We have identified themes where we want to work together in sectors such as access to energy, financial inclusion, SME support, business climate, and these are work streams that we have identified where we have the ability to pull our resources together, to work together, to have a more effective impact on the economy. And this is truly something that I think and I hope will continue to be transformative for the effectiveness of DFI activity in those countries. And just to name a few, Proparco is quite proud to announce that it has started to implement effective and strategic partnerships with institutions like Cross-Boundary or Mercy Corps, which are institutions that specialize in supporting, companies operating in the agribusiness sector, helping them, structure their business, making them investor ready so that institutional investors such as Proparco can, at the end, invest in those businesses. So really, I think it's really time for DFI to learn to work together, to listen to each other, to see what are the achievements of some of them, and to learn from that, and to see how our skills can be quite complementary at times. So this is it. I think it's the 21st century. We really hope at Proparco that the 21st century will be even more successful for DFI in terms of achievements and helping developing markets to truly emerge and to truly develop. And we truly believe that with ambitious mandate, an intelligent and smart cooperation with public authorities, and higher level of collaboration between DFI, we'll be able to achieve all the goals that we have set up, including the Sustainable Development Goals with the UN, but also some of the local goals that we have set up with the Paris Agreement when it comes to the climate. So looking forward to see you soon in person as well. I'm really pleased to have been invited by AFSIC this year to be a speaker, and I hope you have enjoyed some of the ideas I've shared. I'm available for further discussions at any time. My name is Subayi Kamuanga. I am the country officer for DRC Congo for Proparco, the French DFI. See you soon. Bye.